to another edition of Scientific Connection Project Geeta. Some of the topics we'll be delving into in this series are basically the following. Number one, the big question, right? Is there such a thing as emotional intelligence? And if there is, how does it differ from IQ? Second, the brain's ethical radar. What is it? Where does it reside? Third, the neurodynamic of creativity. Four, the brain circuitry for drive, persistence, and motivation. Five, empathy. Six, the key gender differences. Are there remarkable differences between men and women? And of course, we'll touch upon the dark side, the sociopathy, which is at work in many people's brains. By the way, there are several models of emotional intelligence, and we won't be covering all of these models here. As I said before, previously in an episode, we'll be talking mostly about Daniel Goleman's model. Okay, so let's start with the big question here. Is emotional intelligence a thing? Now, you may have heard or seen people with incredible academic abilities and impeccable academic records, but who lack motivation. Would someone like that be successful in life? Of course not. Several decades ago, Howard Gardner, another psychologist and philosopher, wrote a book about multiple intelligences and argued that there are other kinds of intelligence than IQ or than an IQ test would reveal. There are specific areas in the brain that control specific abilities and skills that are indicative of emotional intelligence. Scientists have used the gold standard method. For example, the outstanding neuroscientist Antonio Damasio at the University of Iowa Medical School. He and his colleagues have used this method. So this method in neuropsychology is used to identify brain areas associated with specific behaviors and mental functions. So their findings definitively established that the areas in the brain that are responsible for IQ are different from those areas that are responsible for emotional intelligence. So this is a very important fact. So you should remember that. Now, they also identified areas in the brain that are associated with self-awareness, ethics, and decision-making. I'll end this episode with a story. Some of you may have heard this story from other sources. There was a brilliant lawyer, and as fate would have it, he had developed a tumor in his brain. And when doctors removed the tumor, they had to cut some circuits that connect certain areas in his prefrontal cortex, the executive center of the brain, and his amygdala, the midbrain area for emotions. Now, what happened to him? After the surgery, there was a clinically puzzling situation there. On every possible IQ measure, like memory and attention, for example, this lawyer fared extremely well, and he was as brilliant as he had ever been. But he couldn't do his job. He couldn't make any decisions. He couldn't tell right from wrong. Gradually, his whole life spiraled down. And finally, he went to Damasio to find out what happened. It turns out that the lesion caused by the surgery affected how the lawyer's amygdala worked. And essentially, he was unable to make any decisions for himself. So the upshot of the story is that you need emotion and emotional backing in order for you to be able to make decisions and to know right from wrong. Okay, so next week we'll continue this discussion. Until then, happy learning and happy reading.